All right, so now we're in the gym. We've got our routine and our plan set up. And now we need to get to our workout. So get your warm out of the way. So that will all be dependent on what lifts you have for the day. Again, make sure it's specific. But now we've got to head and we've got to use our first piece of equipment. And generally, that's going to be the good old squat rack that I've got behind me right here. And I want to just walk you through the bits and pieces of the squat rack and how to set it up for yourself. And in the following videos, we'll have it more specific to some lifts, the bench press and squat. But today I just want to go through some of the components that are on the squat rack. So first you'll notice, the typical first thing you'll notice will be all the posts. In my particular squat rack, I have 2 posts wall mounted, okay? Now you may, at your gym, you may have a 4-post squat rack called a power cage or power rack, and that will be a rack that you lift on the inside of. So here, you might do your squats in here, and then a rack in here. For me, my 2-post system, I squat and bench on the outside of it, and I will have my J-cups, that's the next component, mounted on the outside. So real quick, here's a J-cup. This is the piece of the squat rack that you'll move around the most. I mean, it just is, because this is how we adjust it to your particular height and size on bench and squat. So the J-cup, obviously, it looks like a J, so pretty simple reasoning for why it's called a J-cup. It's got plastic mounted on the middle and on the bottom, and then that's so that when you lay the barbell in here, it doesn't damage the barbell and it doesn't damage the J-cup, because they're removable in case you ever need to interchange them. The J-cup's locking system is literally just a peg and then hook system. So how I put a J-cup in the squat rack will look like this. I'll turn it on its side, so that's how it will look on its side. Insert it into the squat rack all the way through. Make sure the pin goes through both sides, okay? Both sides. All the way in, I hear it hit the metal of the squat rack, and then I'm just going to slowly lower it down until it sets in place. So now that's attached to my squat rack. When I set a barbell there, it's not going anywhere. So that's the J-cup. That is very, very important to know how to insert and make sure it's at a good height for you. And again, in the squat video and the bench video, we'll talk about those heights. The next thing you want to familiarize yourself with is the safety system of your given squat rack. In a power rack, you'll generally have metal tubing that will run between the 2 posts, and you'll need to adjust that again for your given lift. In my particular system, I have safety spotter arms. Okay, so these just act as that exact post system where I will set up to whatever I'm doing, and I'll just do the exact same thing that I did with that J-cup of sliding it in, make sure it goes through both systems, locking it down, and then my particular one I can also put a pin through so that it's not moving in or out. And the spotter arms act as your safety. If you're squatting and you get to your last rep and you can't quite get it, and you don't have a spotter, well, you're going to be in big trouble if that spotter arm's not up. So setting that up will be, it literally will be life-saving in some instances. But at the very least, it can at least just give you that extra sense of security when you're doing your lifts, so you can focus on what needs to be done in the gym, which is lifting. Those are the 2 very, very most important components of the squat rack. Some of the other things your squat rack might have, like mine does, a pull-up bar, and in general, most will have that. And that's where we'll do a lot of our hanging exercises, pulling exercises. So that's good to familiarize yourself with. Mine's just a straight bar. Some will have multi-grip bars and all kinds of fun things. You may also have different types of attachments, dip bars. You may have like foam rollers or foam pads for single leg squats, things of this nature. But in general, the J-cup, the spotter arm, those are going to be the 2 things that you need to familiarize yourself the most with at your particular gym. All right, guys, let's get to lifting.